involvement is simply to be a catalyst. The group down at St Peter's are doing a lot of work, Abbott House is doing the work, Fletcherfield is doing work. The Lord Lieutenant seems happy with what's being proposed, and it's got a bit of community, a bit of everyone involved. Happy days. So that's where we're at the moment. Fingers crossed. 24, any questions at all, David?
Just I'm a positive person. So I think, to be honest, this has caught a lot of people off. And the response sounds absolutely amazing. So I'm really impressed, actually, bearing in mind how other areas, it's just what they say, but you're having done the Jubilee thing, and the effort that went into that, and then this one, which is showing what can be done with groups, etc. I would recommend, if it's okay, that after it's all finished, no matter what happens, we still write letters of thanks to people who did a lot of work in this, including the schools involved, because it shows you what can be done with very little centralised management. Does that make sense? I mean, some of you who did the Jubilee, but you remember that there's an awful lot of, it took us 6-9 months to plan that with meetings, regular meetings, reports. This has been done literally off the cuff. Is that right?
Yeah, sort of. But again, I think people seem very willing to get involved when it's not a massive commitment.
Yes.
And it's short. And the Lord Lieutenant is a nice catalyst for us, because people are willing to.
So that's what I'm saying.
No, it's been a nice response. 24-15602, an update regarding issues of the parking for the Nice Works run held recently. We had a conversation with residents last meeting. I had to be up very early in the morning of the Nice Works run and spent a lot of time walking around looking at things, and I took lots of photos, and there were lots of issues, but a lot of people were in good humour. We've clearly had a message from the residents saying that Cotswold Meadows was less hit this time. I was surprised how many other places were hit, and they were hit big time. It struck me that the big issue for us maybe is to go back to NNC. I know you've been in touch with the police and say that all of the different notices about when roads were open and when roads was closed. For example, I've written down Hillfield Road was closed for the run. If you know Hillfield Road, the little bit at the end where it is a close, that was on the NNC road maps work as being shut. That just a little bit at the end of the road was shut between 9:55 and 12:04 or something or other, which weren't the times of the race, but they were linked to it. So there was a lot of a disconnect, which doesn't really help, but I'm not sure that was the organisation. I think that's just the way NNCR might be at the moment. Any questions or queries about anything? Anybody of you got anything to add?
We had somebody a few.
Okay. But I will find her contacts for you. 24-15702 to receive the class report. Emma, anything from you?
I can't find it. I haven't got anything major to talk about other than obviously I met with Benton's. I have today had Sadler's come round to regarding hearing and they're going to provide a quote for both rooms, this room and the platform room, so hopefully we can compare that with the other quote that we had. I did go to the parish and town councils meeting last Thursday. David went as well, which was quite interesting. We had a presentation about the work that they're doing with customer service and the telephone, people being here. There seems to be some improvement.
I think a lot of improvement, actually.
Yeah.
They've got a retail specialist in, and he's there are 5 different systems, 5 different databases or whatever. They've all managed to put it into one.
Yeah.
And it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So when you really give a better chance of getting who you want to far quicker than you did before.
Yeah, they did talk about they're going to be putting together a strategy for asset service sort of sharing. So it's, if we thought we might have a service here that NMC are responsible for, they're looking to put something together where there could be shared service, so we might contribute a little bit more to it, but we wouldn't have to take the whole thing. The one thing that I thought would be quite useful to find out about the bus chapters, because they are NSC's responsibility, and I think they should stay with them as their assets. But if we could perhaps pay a little bit more to get an enhanced service, it means that we haven't got to take them all on and have that responsibility ourselves, which would be a big cost. But we might be able to get them to come out, repair them, keep them looking tidy. So I've put my name forward for us to be part of the workshops that they're going to set up.
Okay.
We can just keep in the loop.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Lovely. John?
If I may, we've got under 2412/405 to agree the OTC vision. That's actually been agreed in November. So I think it's got mixed up with the second set of actions, which was to arrange the strategy day we talked about. And we said deferred until after election. I'm hoping that that's deferred for the date. I'm hoping also we've started, if we haven't, that we can start to work with NCAP to get some dates for after the election, because if we don't do anything until after May, it'll be June or July before we get anything in, and September before we actually start anything, and that would be a whole year since the vision's been agreed. So I'd quite like it if you could, if you haven't already, get some dates for May and June from NCAP, so we can at least take some action.
Just on that, it's a good point to remind you that NCAP will be here on the 15th of June.
Here, or here.
I've persuaded them to do that. It's the, what is it? It's the thing we do, which is an away day. So similar, but they're coming here.
Oh, right.
So it may be, because I'm busy all day, it may be an opportunity when they're here to kill two birds with one stone.
That's a very good idea.
But that's no month that we've
I know, but we've already got them coming here.
But we've already waited 7 months to get a date.
Yeah.
So I think it wouldn't take much to write to Laura or Maria or whatever to get some dates for.
Yeah, I've got the dates for. The only thing is, depending on when those dates come in, they may only be able to give us 1 or 2 if they don't.
The sooner we get in there, the sooner we get the dates. And I think also it'd be helpful not to wait till a council meeting to ask councils which dates they can attend.
Just do it.
There's all, I don't know about anybody else, but we rarely raise questions about the Parks report. And for me, it's actually not working because there are too many of these actions which have been outstanding for way, way too long and not actually taken.
I'm going to report 5 of them, something.
And I was going to pick on particularly the last one down here, 23/180/4. I don't know what date it started. It wasn't in November 2024. The emergency planning exercise has been outstanding for a very, very long time. And we do need to get on with it, because if anything did happen that required an emergency response,
I think the only thing about that is Councillor Davis was heavily involved in that, and he's not around at the moment. But also we had the meeting with an emergency response, and at the moment we're waiting on them to feed some stuff to us.
it doesn't stop us doing our own.
And it does, but they asked us to wait until they'd come up with, gone to other councils so they could work out how they wanted to push things down rather than us pushing things back to them.
There is a sort of plan in place already to go.
Is that, where is it?
It's something that we did a long time ago.
Where is it?
I don't know. It's in the council, so there is a plan which I set up many years ago when we had the floods.
Okay.
So it's not like we're not covered. We have actions and we know what to do in certain circumstances. And as PLR as well, our links to certain bodies are much better than they were before. So it's not like we're not covered. And therefore, it's one of those things where if we're going to do it, we'll do it properly. And we'll follow the advice that's been given. But we do know who the emergency planners are. I do know who the contacts are. I'm a club woman, so I have those contacts. So the thing is, it's not like we're not covered, but the emergency plan, when it's done, we'll just seal it all up and make it, like a document that we can refer to. So it's not like we're saying in no direction. We've had to deal with emergencies in the past and we've done it reasonably well.
So all that's really encouraging to hear, that there is a plan, and do all the councillors know what their responsibilities are, and could we have sight of the plan?
It's more than that.
You haven't got that?
No, there was one that was done up, but this before Emma came on board.
So we have a plan, but don't have a plan.
Well, I have a plan. I know what to do when you have an emergency, but it's
We know what's
So
called.
you're around.
Let's
it's
move.
something to discuss later.
Let's
At the moment,
move
we
on.
have something.
So the 5 things that I saw my name was against on the list. NNC climate survey, I put the information in. 20 mile an hour signs have been ordered, paid for. We're just waiting on a delivery, and given how long it took to get a quote out, and that's going to be a while. The position of electricity on the market. We've shared the quote we had with the Director of Estates at school. She's got to clear up the Bursa, but there's a lot going on there at the moment. And hopefully they'll come back to us with the terms for the Estates Committee, so I've done that. Pavements, the meeting in November that I went to, nothing much has come of that, but I have had an email from a resident, which I put in my report, that we've just gone with particular concern about the Blackthorn Road thing, the pavements on Blackthorn Road, and she's asked if it would be all right for her to put a petition together to send to NNC, which I assume is fine, but we haven't got any news from NNC on that, and I was told to report back on solar, which we're doing tonight, so I think my 5 actions are ticked, hopefully. 24/157/03, approve the meeting scheduled for 25/26. We've now got a version of that looks correct. I suppose the only thing that the states want to do is review our meeting 6th of May, because if there's a change of council, if we're all deposed and there's a bold, brave new world, we currently have a states meeting on the 6th of May, so maybe that's something we should talk about in our next meeting. Doing something at the end of April. Any other comments or queries on the meeting? I'm happy to propose that we approve it if anyone's willing to second it. David's willing to second it. Everyone okay with that? Lovely, thank you very much. 24/157/04 to receive an update on election progress. Emma's booked in to go to Kettering on the 20th of March. Any forms that are handed to her, she can take with her. Have you got our election numbers tonight?
I can access them.
So if anyone needs anyone nominated, signing, whatever, we can do a exercise tonight to make things fast. Thanks to those who are standing again, thanks to those that are not for all that they've done, and everyone that will continue to do, hopefully. Any other questions or queries from anyone or anything? John?
Just I was down at the market last Thursday and spoke to a couple of people. I'll be down at the market again this Thursday, next Thursday, if any councillors are around to help try and attract new councillors. That would be much appreciated. I'm planning to be down there between 11 and 2. Last week I was down there from 9 until 1, which is quite a long time. So any support or help in getting new councillors would be most welcome.
11 to 2 this Thursday.
So again?
11 till 2 tomorrow, this Thursday.
Yeah. And next Thursday.
I'll do my best to
I
pop
think
down at some
Thursday.
point.
No, it's just this Thursday, next Thursday.
Next Thursday, I have to give my apologies, I'm afraid. Lovely, thank you for doing that. And again, visibility is always good. 24/157/05 to consider an induction pack for new councillors and agree next steps. We've all seen the information. John, do you want to say anything? Or?
Yeah, I don't know if you've actually read it. There is a typo in there, which in their paper. I have said, I've referred to Appendix 1 in two instances. One about the map, which includes Annual Town boundary, but I've also said Appendix 1 covers decision-making and implementation, which it doesn't. So that'll be in Appendix 2. But what I'd like to do, given that we haven't got long, what I'd like to do is get feedback from people over the next week or two, otherwise this will go as it is, into how this could be improved. My hope is that this can be given to new councillors who will get a reasonable handle when coupled with the thing from NCALC, a reasonable handle on what their responsibilities are and how the council is set up, which I wish I'd had. I'm hoping that newer councillors will be able to share their experience and how this could be improved.
Oh, I wasn't watching. I want to hear David and Max.
Quite a few years ago, we had a really interesting meeting in here. I can't remember who did it, but it was an outside specialist, I think it might have been. It was about the different roles of the clerk, the chair, and the councillors. And it really was a nice way of clarifying what our roles were. And I think if we could have a slide about that, that would be really important. As in, you know, what is Emma's role, and what do we do, and what's the difference between the chair and the councillors. And it was a very interesting thing, and just to put it in perspective, I had a discussion with another parish council at that meeting, and they were in dire straits because they were saying, you know, we're a bit concerned about politics, etc. And I explained the different roles between the three, and that was it. They got it. They realised what the different roles are. So I think to clarify, it's something that I think when I first started, it took me quite a long time to understand or get an appreciation of it. I'm talking about a year plus. So I think if we can do a shortcut on that, that's the one most important thing to see. And don't overcomplicate it, on it. Keep it simple.
Thanks.
Three things. On page 7, there's a very important typo where you
I'm not
say.
one of the pages, so which
Well, slide 7.
okay.
Where you say pay and not play. I think there's a subtle difference.
Is that?
Anyway, you'll go and find it. The other things were that you mentioned committees, which are clearly very important. The one thing you don't mention is that we're also duty bound to elect councillors to be trustees of the museum. I wonder whether that ought to be mentioned somewhere. I know it's not a committee in the same sense as obviously estates planning, you know, et cetera, but it is something that we are required to do. And then in working parties, I never know quite what the topic is, but there is something that I think we call a working party between OTC and FFA, the Flettonfield Association. Is that a working party, Jerry?
Well, I don't know if it's a working party or not. I was just going to raise a related point, which is there's a number of other roles that are taken on by councillors.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Transition Oundle. So I kind of have lumped Blooming Oundle, Transition Oundle, Flettonfield Association into one sort of
One Jerry Sheard.
One Jerry Sheard indeed role. So I've been the person who is sitting on those committees as the town council rep, and I've told them all I'm not going to do it after May because there's no point me sitting on your committee when I'm no longer on the town council. You need to go and find a new town council to sit on those committees.
They will start hunting people down. Are they going to start hunting?
I'm sure they
people
will.
down?
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm just saying, a list of all of those representatives on various different committees and things will be on the last year's annual
Meeting of the town council.
meeting of the town council minutes, because that's where we elect everybody onto those different bodies.
And I don't think it needs to be put in any great detail, John, but particularly, I think the museum is particularly important to recognise, but also, as Jerry says, we are going to be looking for people to
Other community groups.
Jerry's space on various committees.
Absolutely. Is it going to be a PowerPoint or a booklet?
It's PowerPoint. I've done this frankly off my own back without any input to date. So it's good to have some input. And in response, I mean, yes, there's some typos. Okay, so thank you for pointing those out. I'll get those changed. I have tried to keep it simple. I've outlined council responsibilities, council law responsibilities. I've made clear the difference, but I haven't said. I have made clear the difference between what the council does and what the clerk does, and what the differences are between the two. I thought I'd made that clear, but I can make it clearer. It would be helpful to have some words, if you've got words. And I can have them, sorry, about chair. So if you're able to give me words, David, that would be great. I'll add in about the chair. I have got, I've made enough separation with the town clerk's role, and if we've got any changes on that, that would be helpful. I'll add in the trustees. I'll put in the slide saying there are other responsibilities. Yeah. I don't want to make this too difficult. It's just an overview.
Too much information.
Thank you. Too much information would just get in the way. I didn't quite understand what you were saying about a list of everything is somewhere else.
All our positions and roles were in the minutes of the town council, the annual meeting of the town council from May last year.
Fine. So if I'm new council in May 2025, it would be nice to have those details in front of me rather than say, oh, you get that from looking 12 months.
I wasn't saying to other people.
And we're saying that's what we can find it.
That's where you find it, but the very first meeting that this new council will be at, it will be on that journey.
So you could simply say, is the Jenny?
Just thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was, even now, I'm still trying to find things out and just basic jargon, things like section 106. The average person in the street has no idea what that means. I didn't know what it meant for about a year. So,
Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, no. So yeah, thank you. I think it's a really good idea.
No, absolutely. Cool. Thank you very much. Rob?
Just echo those points. It is really useful. Thank you, John, for putting it together. At the moment, I think the vision slide, perhaps inadvertently slipped out to slide 11. Needs to be moved up. There's been.
Sorry, what?
The slide about the vision has moved down to slide 11.
I'm not with you. I've got visual slide 3. Because it's very important to me.
Yeah, I suppose it should be near our aims and all linked to that, shouldn't it? The vision and then our aims.
Our vision is page 3, our aims is page 4.
Mine's number 11.
So just check that there might be a different versions.
Yeah.
Read out. I'm sure that therefore.
The latest version has page 3, the aims on page 4, and I'm using the same thing. Anyway.
Roof repairs to flatten house. We've seen photos of that in the past, I think last September, up here with all the lining, etc. not there anymore. Something that's been floating around for a couple of years since we worked out the guttering on this building is domestic, and the roof is enormous, so the gutter can't cope with the water, so it flows everywhere. And the fascia board, which when the building was apparently renovated, wasn't replaced, so it's all wood and a bit rotty. And the potential installation of solar panels and a battery to back that up. One of the ideas that Estate proposed a couple of months ago was, if all of those involve scaffolding being used, is there any merit in doing all 3 of them at the same time? We've been in touch with what looked like the best quote for the roof repair, time things so the scaffolding stays up for a bit longer. It looks like the solar panel installers who look like they're the best bet, who are local. Jerry's had a look at their quote, as has David Wood that presented to us a while ago. And the people that are doing the gutter and fascia, are the same people as the roofing. It looks like if we synchronise them all into sort of one hit, we could end up saving quite a bit of money. At the moment, the guttering quote coming in with sharing scaffolding for the roof comes in at £4,625. The roof tiles come in about 35,000, and the estimated electricity saving of about 5,000 a year of our 10,000 bill, so about 50%. And there might be cleverer ways of dealing with that, is about 31,000. So the total hit, if we did everything, would be about £73,000, including VAT. So what we put down there is to consider the benefits of running all three concurrently, the ability to draw from reserves to do so, and we've got reserves of about probably 300-ish, I suppose, right now, and to decide whether to proceed subject to confirmation of solar connection. Max, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, thank you for that, Ian. If I can just add on behalf of the Estates Committee, just so people are aware, so normally we would bring things to you individually when they're over the budget limit that the estates can commit to without bringing it to full council. The reason we're bringing it to a package is primarily because of the scaffolding. They all require scaffolding, and we think that essentially if we can look at these three jobs as essentially as a single job with multiple bits to it, then we can save money, and that's why we brought it to you in this way. It's essentially about trying to save money.
Yeah. And the good news is that actually by having to delay any solar panel decision, we've saved some money on the solar panels becoming cheaper, and the whole thing seems probably less than.
And so just also to be clear, because I realise that I know you all read the Estates Committee minutes, but just to remind you of some of this, we can't put solar panels on until we actually sort out the roofing.
Yep.
Of course.
So one has to be done before the other.
Jerry?
Yeah, I'm just going to throw my two penneth in from the sustainability point of view as part of the sustainability group. So, I mean, I'm not commenting on, I will comment on, I'm not part of the state, so I haven't heard the detail of the house, of the roof repairs and the gutter and fascia issues, but it's also something that's going to have to be done at some point. I'm taking that as the advice we're getting. And the solar panel and battery selection pays for itself effectively. So it seems, well, apart from the fact that we've made a commitment as a council to try to improve our sustainable credentials, it makes good financial sense anyway. So I so strongly support the proposition that you saw done at one time. I support.
Just on that basis as well, if we were to find a trial with an electric vehicle for the maintenance team was a good idea, and they thought it was a good idea, not having to drive somewhere to fill up with petrol when we could use our own electricity to drive around town, it feels like another win. Mm-hmm. So again, it feels like it's all about saving.
So will this quote include putting a charging point?
If we were to go down that route, we would just be able to fit our own simple charging point. It wouldn't have to be a clever EV thing. It's just a plug.
Yeah. Charging points typically about £1,000, so they're not a massive cost.
I didn't have to do a special one, it's coming with solar panels.
No, it just comes through the main, just like this. And I saw a Tesla being charged on the grounds on Saturday, just a 3-pin plug.
It's very interesting. We've changed, we've got an electric car and you charge it now between 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock because a lot of these electricity companies are now offering really cheap charging, so 8p rather than 24p. The thing I've noticed is if I was to charge the car in the same amount of time in the daytime, I get less miles. But if I do it between 12 and 5 I get it's far better, it's a more efficient charging. For some reason, I'm getting more juice into the car.
Nighttime electricity is better than daytime.
Well, I probably
It's a wonderful fact. Everyone knew that. More juice to
It's just a point that you can charge efficiently.
Very good point, John. Another 3 points in.
Set that up so that we do take advantage of of that lower charging rate.
One of the points that David raised and Jerry raised when I sent them the quote to look at for the solar thing is that when we get if we go ahead with this and we get our next electricity quote, etc., we should look at what discounts we can get for nighttime rates and stuff.
I gave my personal example, which is I sell electricity at 15p during the day. I buy electricity at 7p overnight. I maximise my use of electricity overnight. I generate during the day on my solar and get sold at 15p. So, yeah, the savings will be greater than we indicated in the report.
They've been conservative.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to propose it.
Sorry, one last point before we do propose it. One thing that did come out of Jerry and David's consultation is the excitement of adding one extra thing to our sort of total bill, which might be 74,000, including VAT, squirrel and pigeon netting. And apparently it's a thing to make sure your solar panels don't get damaged.
I've got it. And
He's got it.
I think just goes round it, because the pigeons and the sparrows can't get underneath and necessarily squirrels can't go in there and chew the cables. And
I went back to the solar people and they suggested it would cost an additional 1,200, which seems prudent given the cost of oil.
I propose it with the pigeons.
Yeah, so the only other thing is I've put very carefully in there to decide whether to proceed subject to because if we decide to go ahead with this, we need to just let the installers check that they can get permission to connect it before they go ahead. Subject to that.
Subject. Sorry, hang on.
Liz?
Can I ask about the car charging? You know, we talked about having some charging public ones. Is that part of this package?
It's not part of this package, but we could still do that at a later date. We did talk, the second quote down there is from that company, and they come in significantly more expensive for a little bit more. So,
I'm happy to propose that.
So the proposal is that we consider the benefits, we'd effectively draw up £75,000 from reserves and do it subject to solar connection. David's proposing that.
Just again, a bit of background information. It will be a bit more tricky to get that solar connection approval than it is for a domestic connection because we're much bigger, so it's a bigger impact.
Yeah, they suggested up to 9 weeks.
But as fingers crossed, I mean, it's possible the local distribution business could turn around and say no, but probably not, I would think.
I've been sent some quotes that they came in after, I was still waiting for the gas quotes to come in. But come back to them and said, I mean, we don't changes now, but I'll go back and say that we're thinking of doing this.
To get an idea.
Just to get an idea of what they're saying.
Lovely. So with all of those provisions, sorry Max.
Very dumb question because I really should know the answer to this, and I don't. This isn't a listed building, is it?
No.
No. My God.
Not anymore. No, it's not.
Just been domestic.
So, David, desperate to. We're proposing that we go ahead with up to £75,000 from reserves, the solar quote as proposed from Kettering, with squirrel and pigeon netting added.
Yes.
And subject to confirmation of solar connection. Do we have a proposer? Do we have a seconder? Jerry, just in time, valedictory one. And are we all okay to propose the vote on that evening?
No problem.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for all of your support. 24-15804 to consider quotes for gates for the maintenance area in the Flatton House car park.
The other ones, even today, have come in.
So this has been talked about in the States for a while. There's lots of questions and discussions and pictures have come in. And the general view of my last meeting was that we would like gates that sort of filled in and hid the containers a bit. And there's a lovely quote down there for about £7,500, which is lovely, but we really want the fence filled in.
It might be worthwhile, Chair, in the pack that Lisa had dropped in various images and quotes. And it may not be for those people that, again, don't follow the estates meetings with an eagle eye,
Who are these people?
to know which picture relates
Yes,
to which
I will.
vote.
I will get.
So do you want to just say something about
Yeah, I'm just going to get the exciting pictures up. Oh, that's not very exciting.
that? So if you open the,
The bow top, reverse bow top.
Nothing wrong with the boat.
there's a folder.
So there's the bow top design.
Which one was the thinking?
So that's the bow top
That's like the
design,
one down at the wall.
which is lovely and very pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that's about £18,000.
Yeah.
And that's based on the one that's at Allendale Wall,
Yeah.
Oh.
Can I
which we liked, but